I'm going to be totally honest in saying that I'm at a loss for words. I understand it took me, what, 2 days now? 2 days now to come on here and talk about my thoughts. Um, and I'm going to preface this by explaining that I'm still in school. Um, when I moved to Florida, which was around 4 years ago now, something like that. Yeah, about 4 years ago now. Um, the shooting in Parkland had just happened. Parkland, Florida. And that's when my family and I were just getting ready to move down there. That scared me a lot. Um, Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. Fortunately, I didn't have to go through anything like that personally, but it still scared me. It the possibility of it happening scared me. And honestly, I didn't think that anything like that was going to happen again, but it did. It happened because it is way, way too easy to get a gun in the United States of America. Way too easy. Now, I am not saying that nobody should have a gun. I can see why a gun would be necessary for defense of your home or for just self defense in general. I can see why that would be necessary. And hunting, I can see why it would be necessary for hunting. But nobody, no civilian, no citizen needs an AR. I believe it was an AR 15. Nobody needs an AR 15 or an AK 47. Nobody. Those guns are specifically made for killing. If you're going to sell those, raise the age limit on who can buy a gun. Raise that. Raise, like, expand the background checks. Like I said, I don't think that you shouldn't be able to have one. I just think that no child should be able to easily get their hands on a firearm of any sort. We have a problem. I'm not going to give the name of the perpetrator. But this man was 18 years of age, same age that I am. And it disgusts me to even think that someone my age could be so heartless. He was shot on sight by law enforcement. That is not justice enough. And it never will be. The only way that you can make it right to any victim, to any family of victims, is to stop the sale of weapons of mass destruction, weapons used to cause mass murder. Stop the sale of those. As I said, I am still in school. My class president and our English teacher, well, my class president came up with the idea that we should write to Robb Elementary, which is the school that was attacked in Uvalde, Texas. I thought that was a great idea, and I still think that's a great idea. I am going to do that, and I would have done that no matter what. I have to thank my teacher, though, because my teacher is the one that informed everyone that the idea was out there and people could join in on the idea. My letter, though, is more than just comforting and condolences. My letter, at least my hopes are that my letter will instill hope and faith in the people, in the families and friends, and even the faculty of those victims. Hope and faith that the world isn't going to come to utter destruction because politicians let that happen. Now, I'm not blaming all politicians, but there are quite a lot that are in support of things such as the NRA. It's disgusting. And I'll tell you someone that supports the NRA, if you don't already know. And if you've guessed it, you're right. Governor Abbott of Texas supports the NRA. And he also believes that every teacher should be armed within every school. But you know what that does? That allows more students, more mentally unhealthy students, to get a hold of those guns and use them against their peers and against their teachers. That is a problem. Now, I'm sorry, Mr. Abbott and Mr. Cruz. I'm sorry if you don't see that as a problem. I'm sorry if I'm offending you. But you seriously need to get your heads out of your rear ends. Get off your high horse and do what is right. If I'm going to be honest, I didn't think that I was going to have to come on here and be a voice of reason again. The last time I was criticizing Governor DeSantis of Florida. But now I'm calling on all politicians, all senates, and all houses to just agree for once. Just agree. Every single time in any conversation that gun control is brought up, there are a ton of you that either ignore the questions or you say one thing and act in a completely opposite way. That is where the problem lies. If you are against gun control laws, you are against America. Take this as just a hypothetical situation, right? Hypothetical. That's your kid. Your niece, nephew, brother, sister, cousin, grandchild. That's your relative. How do you think you would feel if someone came in with a weapon that is designed specifically for killing many at a time? How would you feel if someone came in with that weapon and shot your relative and killed your relative? How would you feel? I bet you would feel pretty fucking bad. excuse me for my language. But I feel at this point it's needed to get the point across. I don't know who the leaders will be of my generation. But I can tell you one thing is for sure. My generation will lead not just this country, but the entire world into a new evolution, a time for change that is so, so very much needed. My generation and those that follow, hopefully, hopefully, will decide to move into a better and brighter future rather than continuing on the dark, devastating road that we're on. It has been nearly 10 years since the Sandy Hook shooting. And on that day, it was 10 days after the mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. I am begging, begging for any politicians to see the truth, not just in what I'm saying, but in what we're all saying, in what we're all feeling. I hope that the politicians actually decide to change something because it needs to be changed. And frankly, if it doesn't, who knows what tragedies await us. The last thing that I want to say is that my heart goes out to the families of those who have lost someone. I believe the latest report said that there was like 19 students and 2 teachers. My heart goes out to you. All of you. Because though I may not know what it feels to lose a friend to death. I do, however, know what it feels to lose a friend. And that's a very sucky feeling. You are not alone. You are not mourning alone. Your voices will be heard. And if anyone cares to know, which I assume most do, uh, there is a fund that has been set up um, for the families, and I believe for the burials. Basically, there's been a fund set up for the funerals for those whom we've lost. Um, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, um, the link for that should be on the Rob Elementary School's website, um, or possibly just on the Uvalde District's website. Again, my heart goes out to you, as I'm sure most do. I am afraid. I am afraid to be with someone and have a child, bring a child into this world while I know that it is so unbelievably unsafe. Please help us change the world.